a lot of people asking about our games of the decade, which seems to be a popular thing to do right now. A lot of publications doing their, movies of the decade, games of the decade, albums of the decade. And we talked about something like that here.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you make that list meaningful other than, here, let me cherry pick a handful of things from the last 10 years. Well, and unlike so many other mediums, I feel like video games have just changed so much. It's been a technical evolution for the format over the past 10 years. And what mattered then and what matters now, I think, has become so hugely different that it's kind of hard to put all that stuff in one list. And it's
weird because there are some conventions that have carried all the way through, just because at the start of this decade, gaming was already totally polygonal. And all we've really gotten to is now the right analog stick is a must. That's basically the big control change, unless you want to talk about the Wii or the DS, but that's not exactly...
Rumble.
Yeah, Rumble. I don't know.
That was already around.
I think, it's...
Nintendo.
When you're putting together a list like that, you're looking at influence. So it's just what are the most influential games of the decade? Yeah. And I think that's, you look at some of the stuff, you look at San Andreas for causing all the controversy that it did. You look at either Guitar Hero 1 or Rock Band 2. Either you reward the game that kicked off the modern form of rhythm games, or you look at its current pinnacle.
I would say...
But do you go for Half-Life 2 or Halo for your lists? You can approach it in...
Right, yeah. I mean, I'd go for...
In so many different ways.
I'd go for Halo because I feel it was
more impactful,
more influential. Half-Life 2 just had a long development story and came out, and it was this is a really good first-person shooter.
And also
with an all-new engine, and it's more impressive, Steam and the Source engine.
Yeah,
what the Source engine has become.
Yeah,
sure.
I know it was also just a refinement of something they had done.
Right.
6 years previous.
You look at something like TF2 and, how that's kind of redefining post-release support for video games and how Valve stands alone in that sort of stuff is interesting things that happen this decade that, not necessarily influential because, let's face it, no one else is going to do that. No one else is in a position to do that. And it's I wonder if, at some level, I've been thinking about TF2 for, the last few days, just since they did this war update, just kind of why do they still do this? Why are they still working on that? And it's because it keeps spreading the word and it keeps spreading Steam installs. So they'll do this and have a free weekend, and they'll do this and have 50% off sale, and then they get more Steam installs, and then they get more people looking at the Steam store, and then they get more people buying games through Steam.
Oh, that's how they get you.
So it's this whole, that's got to be it, right?
Yeah.
How else could they be paying people to continually work on TF2 when something like Episode 3 hasn't happened yet? When, it has to be and I'm not saying it's insidious, but I think that's, at some point, there is some column full of numbers that they just go okay, because we did this update, this many people got Steam, and here are the games they bought, and we can tie this together. We can make money appear in a column at the end of the Team Fortress 2 thing that wouldn't be there otherwise. That's maybe a little off topic, but that's something
it's an interesting,
super crazy that happened this decade.
Point, because it kind of then, it illustrates the issue with a end of the decade thing is stuff that was super significant at the beginning of the decade, maybe right now isn't so much. And there's stuff that's significant right now that, okay, it's in the decade and it's significant that in 3 years' time no one will give a shit about. So it's I struggle with the whole kind of the decade list.
It
idea.
just gets back to people like to read and argue about lists, and it's an easy way to generate traffic and comments and keep those machines going.
So I bet we could hammer out 10 meaningful games of the decade in right now.
All right.
In 10 minutes.
So Halo.
Say Guitar Hero.
I would say Guitar Hero.
Yeah, Guitar Hero.
Yeah. I would say Geometry Wars. It's like
Sure.
the first
Yeah,
gotta
you
have
could-
it downloadable game that everybody
I
bought.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
Counter-Strike was that?
sure. That came out
So
Was that this decade
that
or
was last decade.
Yeah.
because that came out. Yeah, before
Okay.
2000. Back in the 90s, y'all.
Word.
I'd put GTA 3 over San Andreas.
Yeah, so would I.
Just because.
Yeah, I mean, and there are a lot of calls like that where you kind of know what the trends of the decade are. I think that's maybe almost a better way to look at it because there's always going to be two games. There's going to be the first thing and then the best thing. So,
Right.
When did
Like,
Ocarina
I don't know.
come out?
You put
98.
Phantasy Star Online on that list.
World of Warcraft would definitely be on there.
Yeah, WoW.
yeah,
WoW has
sure.
to be on there, sure.
Or do you put EverQuest on there?
EverQuest
was
was
This was
98.
90s.
Just include 98 and just say 98.
That craps up your whole list.
Yeah, you start talking about 98, then you got Metal Gear, you got all this other stuff.
Yeah, or you can make an argument from MGS2 for like willfully denying and in fact shitting on everyone's expectations.
Yeah. But, that didn't exactly lead to a rash of that happening.
No, but it was a pretty memorable moment.
Yeah.
And I don't know, some other games.
Yeah.
Xbox Live, I'm counting as a game. As one of the most influential things of the decade.
Jay Allard tops the list.
Yeah.
Yep.
Number one with a bullet.
Fusion Frenzy.
Jay Allard. All right, moving on.